So okay, insight 134. You might have many weak areas, as it is often the case. In an instance of sexual behavior, so when you're experiencing sexual behavior, you have to discover the weak area by the tracing back method mentioned above, which is the previous mentioned insight, and set up mental barriers of conscious awareness for that particular instance. Then at the next instance of sexual behavior, one has to discover its pathways of thoughts and set up barriers of mental awareness for that instance. You do this continuously each and every time you become sexual, until you almost completely block off pathways of thoughts that lead to sexual behavior. This helps significantly in almost completely overcoming the habitual behavior. In this way, you will almost completely overcome sexual fixations that were based on habits that were taught, encouraged, and reinforced by society. Some information about the insight 134. So, as is often the case, the weak areas or the cracks in the doorways of the consciousness, there's many. So you're to discover each of those areas of weaknesses, the weak points and the pathways of thoughts, each of them. And with each discovery, you set up a with each discovery, you set up a conscious barrier of awareness. You become very intently aware of that specific crack in your doorway of consciousness. You become very aware. I have here, here, and here, and here, and here. Considering it's the mind we're dealing with, so many connections the mind makes. I would say typically a person has, let's say 300 or so pathways that they have to work on discovering and becoming very aware of. So it took me 3.5 years of figuring it out, figuring out my own doorways of my own consciousness. What are the things that lead to it? And so the same with you. There are many, so you have to start to get to work, figuring them out. Discovering influences that are influencing you without your conscious knowledge, and becoming conscious of them. Again, this helps significantly and almost completely, overcoming the habitual behavior. Yes. Insight 135. There is a difference between habitual sexual behavior. So sexual behavior that is done out of habit, out of unconscious behavior, right? So there is a difference between habitual sexual behavior and sexual influences that are new. Sexual influences that are new. There's a difference between habitual sexual behavior and sexual influences that are new sexual behavior. For this reason, you will not gain 100% control over sexual influences by the method of preparation, which is you being conscious and aware of your specific weak areas of consciousness where they used to come in, but now you're aware. This is true simply because there are infinite ways that ideas connect to sexuality. You cannot be conscious of all of them beforehand, since they are infinitely varied. So there's so many ideas, there's infinite ways of connecting any idea to sexuality. Obviously, you cannot be conscious of all of them beforehand. There's too many ideas. Insight 136. However, you can be conscious at every moment of what is taking place in your own mind, and to see your state of being and how you're feeling internally by self-examination, analyzing your own body, thoughts, feelings, etc. By being conscious of yourself, thoughts, feelings, body, and all, by being conscious of the sources or sources of the thoughts and feelings being generated in your mind by making decisions on your own and not merely due to intruding influences, and by being alert and in control instead of simply following thoughts that come to your mind. You can overcome all obstacles leading to sex. The difference is similar to a self-governing person as opposed to being a follower or a slave. The explanation of Insight 136. So, when you walk around, there might be a puddle of water somewhere. And if you're walking around and you're conscious, you see the puddle of water wherever it is, and you don't step on it or step in it. You don't step in it because you see it. Why? Because you're aware, you're conscious. So they could put puddles of water all sorts of places throughout your life. If you're conscious, you're not going to step in it. No problem. You don't have to be totally prepared. The water will be here and there. I have to remember that. No. If you're aware at the moment, then you can make the conscious decision to not step in it. The same thing is true with the subject here. And so you want to be aware and conscious at every moment and live a life that is aware and real, alert. And so when influences come, and if they're influencing you, you notice it. You go, I'm feeling a certain way. Why am I feeling that way? Then you observe your feelings, your thoughts, what's around you, you discover the influence, and you go, okay. And then you stop the influence because first of all, you disempower the influence because you see what is influencing you and how it's working, and you just empower it because you take it away from being unconscious to conscious, aware, from invisible to visible. And you make decisions on your own, not merely due to intruding influences. So when an intruding influence comes and makes you feel a certain way, you don't have to automatically follow along with it. Go, oh yeah, I want to do that because I feel this way because of this intruding influence. No. Influence comes, you notice that, something is influencing me. And, I don't want to get involved with that. I want to do this. I want to do something else, I don't want to be dictated on how to live my life. No, I want to make decisions on my own. I don't want to be forced, coerced, tricked into behaving sexually when I didn't want to originally. You see? Very good, okay. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, you want to be alert and in control instead of simply following thoughts that come to your mind. You're just not going to follow along whatever comes to your mind or whatever input is coming from outside or from your own imagination, accidental connections of thoughts, etc. No. The difference is similar to a self-governing person, a person who governs themselves, a person who is in charge of themselves. They want to live the life they want to live instead of being a follower or being a slave. Very good. Insight 137. Think and try to perceive of a person non-sexually. I am not trying to stop you from thinking sexually. I am encouraging you to not automatically think of them sexually. Perceive them as a whole being with thoughts, feelings, spirit, life if you do not believe in spirit, talents, behavior, intellect, etc. You will see them in a more diverse and objective manner. Explanation of 137. A person, as we said before, is very complex. A whole bunch of stuff is going on with them, mentally, emotionally, intellectually, sexually. So much stuff. Very, very. This person you see is an entire being with a whole big old history behind them. Very complex, and so try to see them that way. Instead of just one way. If you see them just one way, it's so limiting, so not true. You want to see things as they really are. Insight 138 is going to work for some languages, not the others. But in English, the language is at fault also. we say she or he or him or her, which brings the fact that they are a sexual being foremost to our mind. You know, as in when we say she, we're saying that it's a female that we're talking about. So he, it's a male we're talking about. Yeah. So in some other language this doesn't work because some languages you say he, but it doesn't indicate the gender. For example, in English, if I say I or you, it does not indicate gender. 39. Good. Before the day starts, take time to establish in your mind and understanding the viewpoint you will use to interact with people whom you will be meeting in your daily life. I'll read that again. Before the day starts, take time to establish in your mind and understanding the viewpoint you will use to interact with people whom you will be meeting in your daily life. The viewpoint I am speaking of is about establishing in your mind that they are a multifaceted, complex human being, and not just a sexual being. Right? Think of them as a whole person. Therefore, when you meet them, that whole understanding will be the foundation on which you use to interact with them, instead of seeing them simply as male or female. Site 140, kind of lengthily. You might ask, what if I meet a new person? I do not know them to think of them beforehand. Knowing the name of a person does not constitute knowing them, nor having met them, really. Many people share similar traits, and those similarities are what you can concentrate on beforehand. You really do know people. You know them by their aspirations, dreams, and wants. Many people have or want aspirations, family, love, sensuality, excitement, adventure, disappointments, as in have disappointments, fame, privacy, understanding, emotional intimacy, honest relationships, superiority, handicaps, peace, bravery, etc. The point is to look at them as a human being that has many things going on in their life, and that they are not just a sexual being. Therefore, you can prepare yourself in the morning by thinking of the variety of humans in existence. Each person wants to experience the best in life and have the best opportunities. Many who feel that they have been held back by others, by their environment, improper education, or improper guidance, might choose a negative attitude or a negative path. However, these people, given the choice, would, with a sober mind, choose happiness, wealth for all, love and excitement for all, etc. By this means, meaning by this method, you know that all people are the same, and that you know them. Their true nature is as the nature of any child who is just born. They are sweet, simple, uncomplicated, and innocent. You take any child, a normal child, of course, meaning a child who's not abused in any way, just a normal child, They'll come up to you and pull your leg and say, let's play, or come on and play, So people have this thing about, oh well, I can't think of people if I don't know them. How can I thinking of them as a complex being? No, it's a complex being. Anybody is a complex being. You have so many things going on with them. Even if a child is born. Wow, amazing. Not too complex, but nonetheless quite amazing. This live conscious being. Yeah, you'd be surprised how conscious these little kids who are just born are. How advanced they are in their awareness compared to an adult. Dulled awareness. Okay. Insight 141. Once you have established yourself quite well in thinking of others as whole beings, then proceed in interacting with them in a purely spontaneous way, in seeing them, make observations about them that take you closer to a truer and fuller understanding of them. By observing, I mean while talking, seeing, or hearing them, you observe that they are a multifaceted human being. You will be misdirected if you simply focus on one aspect, the sexual aspect. Here, let me give you a little bit about the explanation. Of course, your focus might be significantly affected if the person whom you are interacting with is wearing an outfit that is suggestive of sexuality, or an outfit that is accentuating their sexual appeal. Right? In this circumstance, every aspect of the appeal can be looked and dissected to its core elements and discarded as being based on color, shape, idea, and attraction, or on other similar ideas. The truth of the normalcy of the body parts has to be affirmed. Yep. Yeah, when you want to see that things are normal and don't think of them as abnormal, because abnormality will impact your mind. You think, oh, this is very different, but it's not, 142. You have to be conscious of your thoughts and consciously correct them. You will think correctly enough times that correct and conscious thinking will become part of your nature. You are to be consciously aware of where your thoughts arise from, how they continue, shift, connect, give rise to other thoughts, and how your thoughts fade away. You'll become conscious of the whole process. 43. For example, if you see a woman and you become attracted to her, next you might be attracted to her breasts, and soon get aroused. In this instance, backtrack. Think in reverse from the point of arousal, and think about why you got attracted to her in the first place. Okay. Inside 144. Let's see, okay. Inside 144. She was wearing a red dress that captured your mind's attention, for it stood out from the rest of the colors surrounding her, and it was bright. Next you noticed that she was female, perhaps. Next you might have noticed her breasts because maybe they were heaving, partially exposed, or bouncing. You might have focused on them because you rarely see breasts, and the rarity of beholding them made seeing them more valuable. So here I'm just basically saying, okay, so it's like I'm showing you an example of backtracking, and how you discover the sources of how this whole thinking process works, right? So when you backtrack and you discover the whole thing, you discovered, okay, I saw this lady. Actually, I saw the red dress. The red dress captured my mind. And then I saw it was a lady. Okay. Now notice that sometimes you might see a red color and you look and it's a guy. Guy is wearing red. Okay, good. So you notice first what works is the color, Maybe you see the girl first. Whatever appears into your mind, you will discover the sources. Maybe you see the long hair first, long hair, Okay, so here we're talking about the red dress. Then you realize this is a lady. For example, sometimes you might see long hair from long distance. Comes closer, you're thinking of it's a girl, but it's a guy with long hair. And then you shift your person, you go, oh my God, it's a guy. So then you might see the girl, you identify as a girl. After the color, then you might focus on the breast and say, oh, okay, and how did you notice the breasts? They were heaving, or partially exposed, or bouncing, or whatever. Okay. You might have focused on them, on the breast, because you rarely see breasts, and so the rarity of seeing them made it more valuable. There you go. This is analyzing your own thoughts as you are noticing the thoughts. There you go.